Really good point. What we've noticed is that in developed markets like Europe and the US, a lot of the data services are accessed over broadband. Whereas in other markets, because broadband penetration is low, a lot of these services are accessed over mobile networks, over cellular data. But cellular data tends to be unaffordable and expensive, and so people limit the amount that they use of cellular data, and that, of course, limits their access to information. So we thought that if we could make public Wi-Fi high quality, affordable, and free in this case, and available to a lot more people, then people would have good access to information on the internet. So access is, of course, at the bottom of everything. If people aren't able to access and get good internet connectivity, they cannot have access to all the applications they need in order to make their lives better, whether it's educational content or it's health content, whether it's just entertainment content, anything else. So access is really at the foundation of everything.
Now, still in line with that, I mean, for the Google station, you've done that in India, Thailand, Mexico, and I know that perhaps for each country the experience was different, but perhaps they have one or two themes that run across that are similar, or that run across basically. Could you just share the experience, maybe the most remarkable, if you will, of the experience of the country?
Yes, I mean, I'm going to talk about it. I mean, there are hundreds of stories that we hear where people who did not even have access to any kind of connectivity are now finding that they can get information that they needed at these public hotspots. I mean, we've seen that in Thailand. There was a wonderful story of this boy who got lost. He ran away from home, and 16 or 17 or some large number of years later, he's able to find his home using Google Maps, and then he goes and he's reunited with his father. Another story is of a porter, a baggage porter in a railway station in India, and he wanted to join the civil services, which I'm sure you're familiar with here, which are considered very prestigious jobs, but he didn't have access to get the study materials and the examination, and he studied using public Wi-Fi, and he passed the exam, and he got himself a government job. I mean, there are many, many such stories that we hear where people are able to get the information they need because access is now free in many locations.
Some people might ask, why is Google doing this?
Well, I mean, we fundamentally believe that people should have access, and we also notice that when access is affordable, a lot of people use services for multiple things, whether it's government services or finding prices of crops, finding colleges for their children, all kinds of information, and that makes their lives so much better. So yes, of course, that's been our mission from day one, is to make information universally accessible and useful, and we then continue on this mission by actually providing people the access to that information to improve their lives.
Now, we also know, because studies also tell us that when countries who have a high usage of internet, they end up having higher GDPs. They're more economically buoyant as it were. So for these countries, are you looking to see how economically better off they are? After that, do you see the impact already, or is something that's ongoing, and perhaps after a while you can go back and say, okay, let's see what the impact this has made. What's the difference?
Yes, I think that's again very important, because I think the access projects have mostly been focused on cities. So we are also interested in bringing access to rural areas, because those people could benefit from it a lot. And I'll tell you one story. I was in the state of Andhra Pradesh in India, and they showed a video of this man. We had gone to a rural village and given him a phone and had him watch a video on the phone, and his eyes lit up like it was something magical for him. So there are still many, many millions of people who don't know anything about the internet, or who don't have the opportunity to get access, and so I think that's also very, very important to us.
Do you think we're still scratching the surface? I mean, it's amazing that, here in Nigeria, we have local farmers. Many of them now use phones.
Yes.
To get information about seeds from the government, for those
Yes.
who participate in government programs, information on seeds and fertilizer.
Yes.
But there's still some parts in the world where, like you said, the farmers his eyes just lit up when he saw a phone.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, how much more work do we need to do to
Oh,
cover
we need
that?
to do many, many years of work. There's two pieces of it. One is, of course, the phones themselves, and a lot of people in many parts of the world can't afford a smartphone. You know, we think everybody has smartphones because we are in the city and we have access to everything, but a lot of people aren't able to even buy low-end smartphones, so they buy feature phones, and on feature phones, you can't really do very much because it's just so difficult. But in India, we, along with a partner, Jio, we launched a smart feature phone which has, you know, among other applications, it has search, it has YouTube, it has maps, and it also has the assistant. And the usage of that has been absolutely incredible, to the point that we were astounded. And we, you know, there's so much of a hunger, there's so much of a need for these services that if we make it accessible to them and we give them platforms on which they can access all the information they need, people just jump on it. It's just, it blows you away. And these people are often first-time internet users, and they get access to YouTube, and on YouTube they're watching, of course, their favorite movies and songs and so on, but they're also watching educational content. They are looking at recipes, they are looking at you know, dress patterns. A lot of the women that we're finding in these rural areas, you know, they find it very easy to now to talk to their phones and get access to all kinds of information. And it's hard to predict because they make it part of their lives. And it's hard for me to say, well, you know, they're watching movies or they're doing this or they're doing that. They do what they care about, and that's been the most heartening and most inspiring part of our journey.